I'm Jamie Buckingham. Shalom from Israel. As we close out this series on how to use spiritual authority, I want to take you to one of my most favorite spots on all the earth, the area surrounding the Sea of Galilee. Here, late one evening, Jesus performed one of the most exciting miracles ever recorded. A huge crowd of people, numbering up to 15,000, had thronged around him. They were so eager for spiritual food, they forgot it was time to eat. And now the sun was setting, and they were far from home. To feed them seemed impossible. All of us at one time or another have been faced with impossible situations. When the angel told young Mary that she was going to have a baby, she replied, "But that's impossible. I'm a virgin." "Nothing is impossible with God," the angel answered. A better translation is, "No word from God is without power." When God speaks, the impossible fades into nothingness. Let me take you now to the Galilee, where Jesus put that into practice. One of my most thrilling experiences in life was my first glimpse of the Sea of Galilee. It was in the villages surrounding the sea and in the surrounding hills where Jesus' teaching and ministry took place. These are the waters which, though raging in a fierce night storm, were quieted at his command. He walked on them. He commanded Peter to walk on them. Down there, he sat on the bow of a fishing boat while the crowds pressed right in against the water's edge, eager to listen as he taught. In these beautiful hills, he found people in great need and touched them with healing: lepers, dying children, the blind and deaf, the crippled and broken. He healed them all. There's an awesome sense of beauty and peace here that defies logic, especially in these politically troubled times. Across the sea to the east can be seen the Golan Heights. Joining them to the south are the mountains of Gilead, through which the Jordan River flows. It's a quiet, peaceful place. But it wasn't quiet that evening when Jesus came here in the spring of the year before he was crucified. It was the week before Passover, and thousands of pilgrims from the north were moving south through this area towards Jerusalem. They thronged around Jesus, listening to his teaching, amazed as he laid hands on the sick, and they were instantly healed. It was a critical time in his life. Word had just come that King Herod had executed John the Baptist. Jesus expected the people to react against John's execution, which would bring swift reprisals from the Roman overlords. The Romans would probably blame him as an insurrectionist. It'd be a good idea to withdraw until the clamor died down. Jesus knew the crowds would try to cast him in the role of some kind of militant Messiah. The nation was on the brink of revolution against Rome. In fact, right over there is Mount Arbel, towering over the western shore of the Sea of Galilee above Tiberias. On the northern cliffs of the mountain, visible from below, are the fascinating cave fortresses of the Zealots. In fact, one of Jesus' disciples, Simon the Zealot, had belonged to this group of highly militant Jews. Yesterday, I scaled down the side of that mountain just to see the cliff dwellings where Simon once lived. I was impressed again how rugged and strong these followers of Jesus had been. No sissies, these men. Jesus had been teaching in Capernaum, about 2 miles from where I'm standing, when word came that John had been killed. He got in a boat, sailed around to this spot on the shore of the Sea of Galilee. A huge crowd of people, more than 5,000, rushed along the shoreline, met him when he landed. It must have been frustrating, never finding time to be alone. Yet the people were hungry for God, and Jesus had compassion on them. As evening fell, Jesus turned to Philip, one of his disciples, and said with a twinkle in his eye, "Looks like we're going to have to feed this bunch." Philip must have turned pale. Philip, like Andrew and Peter, came from the nearby town of Bethsaida. Since they were close to their hometown, they thought Jesus meant to go to town and buy food. "We can't feed 5,000 people," Philip blurted out. Jesus, however, had something else in mind. Andrew, who was also a native of Bethsaida, had overheard Jesus' question to Philip, and he stepped forward, had a little boy in tow. The boy had his picnic lunch with him, 5 barley loaves and 2 small sardine-sized fish. "Will this help?" the little kid asked. It was all Jesus needed. While Philip had no faith at all, Andrew and the little boy were at least willing to try. It illustrates a basic spiritual principle. If you'll just work with what you have, if you'll just offer to God what little bits you have, God will do the multiplication. Taking the bread, Jesus blessed it with an ancient Jewish grace over meals. It's the same blessing modern Jewish families often use when they bless the food on Shabbat. "Blessed art thou, Jehovah our God, King of the universe, who causes to come forth bread from the earth." Take it and distribute it, Jesus told his disciples. Nobody really knows where the miracle took place. In the blessing, in the distribution, in the eating. But suddenly there was enough food to feed all 5,000 people. When the people had eaten their fill, the disciples passed among them with their kafinos, their large baskets that they slung from their shoulders. Each basket was filled with leftovers. What a wonderful story. The lesson is strong and to the point. Today, on this 3rd Sunday of Lent, are you willing to give to God what little you have and let Him multiply it to bless others?